Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
Well, what an incredible 24 hours. Americans have spoken, and now with 51% of the votes, Donald Trump has been elected the 47th President of the United States, promising a bigger, better, bolder America. An incredible White House return. Here to break it down is journalist and former BBC correspondent Nick Bryant. Nick, hello.
Hello, Nick.
Hey, Amanda and Jonesy.
How are you? Would it be fair to say, Nick, if we didn't have that pesky pandemic, we would be at the end of Donald Trump's second term now, and it was just a circuit breaker is why the Democrats got in that time?
I think you're right, actually. I think Trump would have won in 2020 had it not been for the pandemic. And he almost won. I mean, he came within 43,000 votes in 2020 from getting a second term in the White House. This is a more emphatic victory in 2024 than he won in 2016. He not only won the Electoral College, I mean, he won every single battleground state. Remember all the states we were thinking were on a knife edge? Well, he won them all. And he's also won the nationwide popular vote. That's something he didn't do in 2016, you remember. Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes than him nationwide. He had to rely on the vagaries of the Electoral College. We've all become experts in the Electoral College recently, haven't we? And there were people who thought, well, look, America hasn't really endorsed Donald Trump. He hasn't got a mandate because more people have voted for Hillary Clinton. You cannot say that this time round. This was an emphatic victory for Donald Trump.
And what does it tell us about who America is and what they want?
Look, I think it tells us at the moment that America is struggling with high prices. People are really annoyed about having to pay higher mortgage rates. I mean, we're falling back on that Clintonian cliche, aren't we, from the early 1990s? It's the economy stupid was the slogan that drove his campaign in 1992. I think you could change that slightly. It's the felt economy stupid because a lot of economic indices in America are pretty good. But it's the felt economy that is crushing people. I think there's a mood of anti-incumbency, not just in America, but around the world. If you want to register a protest, well, who better to do it with than Donald Trump? He's the kind of ultimate protest candidate. But he does have appeal as well. I mean, you know, you cannot deny it. He's got this magnetism. He's got this charisma that does appeal to people. You know, a lot of people look at the weave, as he calls his speeches, where he goes all over the place and starts talking about Hannibal Lecter and all sorts. But that isn't disqualifying. And nor was the fact that as a sitting president on January the 6th, 2021, he mounted an insurrection to try and overturn an election he'd lost. Even that wasn't disqualifying. He once said he could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot people, and it wouldn't stop people voting for him. And I think, again, we've seen proof of that over the last 24 hours.
And people just like plain speak, don't they? They hear a politician talk and then they hear word salad. And I think I would say this to Anthony Albanese. He's going to Word Salad Town. Before he became our Prime Minister, he used to speak quite plainly. But this is what happens to them all. We've seen it on our show. People like Kevin Rudd, Julia Gillard, once they become Prime Minister, they become too scared to talk. I think Kamala Harris was just too scared to say anything.
Well, I think in 2016, when Trump first emerged, and he mounted his campaign with an attack on Mexican immigrants, right? People were just saying, you can't say that and expect to win the presidency. That's disqualifying. A few weeks later, he had to go at John McCain, this war hero. He said he should never have ended up in a POW camp. It was his fault. He liked people who avoided that kind of POW camp experience. Again, you can't say that, but it didn't matter. And Trump was saying the unsayable. He was saying things that a lot of people have thought and didn't feel that they could say out in public for many years. He gave voice to that, and he gave permission for them to say those things as well. And that has always been part of his appeal. Whether it's expressions of concern about immigration or whether it's expressions of concern that, you know, America's getting too left-wing, too woke, as some people would say.
He has said quite plainly that he's going to punish people who haven't gone his way. What are people expecting from this kind of the next 4 years?
Look, I'm worried. I cover Trump every day for 4 years, and this will be a retribution presidency. I think he will seek to punish people who went against him, critics like Liz Cheney, for instance, the Republican congresswoman who was very critical about his role in January the 6th and then was purged from the Republican Party really as a result of that. I mean, January the 6th could have been a moment of repudiation with the Republicans and Donald Trump, but it came a moment of further Republican radicalization. It became even more radical and attached to him. And I think he'll go after people, you know, and it's worrying because, you know, Donald Trump does have authoritarian tendencies. There's no question about it. One of the things we learned in his first term was the American system relies on norms as it does on laws. And the Constitution has gaps in it when it comes to presidential power. When they wrote it, they had George Washington in mind, and they thought he would be a kind of one-man check and balance on himself, and he was. But there are gaps in the Constitution that Donald Trump could exploit.
Well, and also with the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, we're talking about muskets, not AR-15s.
Yeah, exactly. And frankly, the Second Amendment was never about the individual right to bear arms. It was about militias. It was only in 2008 that the Supreme Court actually said it's about the right to bear arms individually. They completely upended the meaning of the Second Amendment. But that's a conversation for another day.
Well, Nick, thank you for bringing us up to speed. You're always very enlightening. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.